Who am I now if I'm no longer the one who fixes things? Because I can't fix this. When I met my ex-boyfriend, I had literally just been discharged from a mental health facility, or I hadn't been discharged. I left because I was 16 and I was not in any acute danger to myself or other people, so I was able to leave. I signed some papers and I left. But you cannot live your life for someone else forever, because that will kill you. I had this moment where I was like, damn, now that I've made this decision to take my own life into my own hands, shouldn't I also like try to actually take care of myself? Hello, friends and strangers. My name is Eliah, and you might be seeing or at least hearing my dog Willy from time to time. I'm not sure about this setup. I feel a bit weirded out by the shadow behind me, but it's also kind of cool. But it's a very overcast and just cloudy, foggy, gray kind of day today. So I thought I'd assist the natural light with my ring light. Anyway, so I just got home from therapy. It was a good therapy session. I hadn't seen my therapist in like 3 weeks because they were on holiday. And we actually did something new today, like something I don't think I've done before in therapy. We talked about a dream I had. Like right before I got up this morning, I had this really weird dream, and it kind of, yeah, like along with the day being super gray, it just made for a, yeah, just strange start into my day. Now I do feel better. Anyway, the reason why I'm here, I feel like that's enough intro. I've been talking about heartbreak on here, but I guess a lot of the time, or like ever since I started making videos this year, I haven't really gone into kind of my personal life and my history a lot. And I used to be someone who very much overshared on the internet about anything and everything that was going on. I mean, not anything and everything, but I used to be very open about kind of my mental health struggles while they were also still active, or more active. And I don't actually know if I've ever mentioned this on here, but I don't know. Yeah, it's so weird because like it used to be like I'm not new to talking about my thoughts, my feelings myself on the internet, but the way that I used to do this before, like up until like a couple of years ago, was very different. Or like I used to have an eating disorder. Maybe part of why I don't talk about it is because I don't want to jinx it. Like, I don't know if anyone watching who has struggled with eating disorders before or is close to someone with that experience, you might know that it's never really over. It's not something I feel like right now I'm so much closer to it being in the past than I ever thought was possible. If you had told me 2-3 years ago that it was possible, maybe 3-4 years ago, I don't know, that it was like if you had shown me my life right now, if you would show that to me 4 years ago, I would not believe you. I don't think I would even recognize it as my own life. Yeah, it is really wild. And I think maybe that's also part of why I haven't really been talking about it, like aside from me not wanting to jinx it, because as I said, it's never really over. I feel like it's it's not something that dictates my everyday life anymore, but it's not like it has completely left my system and way of engaging with myself and the world. But yeah, but just like my life right now and the way that I don't struggle with certain things that would have been beyond my imagination 4 years ago. I did not know that feeling like this or not like or living like this was possible for me, and I didn't understand how it was possible for anyone else. And that's kind of that is a sentiment that I shared with my therapist today, and that's kind of, I guess, what got me thinking, and led up to kind of this idea or the concept for this video. Because I've had many moments over the last, like, it's not even just 7 years, it's actually longer than that, but let's just go with the last 7 years. Over the last 7 years, I've had several moments where my life shifted dramatically, where things changed dramatically in a way that made my life get better. And what all of those moments have in common is that they came with or were even catalyzed by heartbreak. I don't think I made that connection up like until like a couple of minutes ago, to be honest, or like before I started thinking about this video. I even have a tattoo on my thigh. It's a quote by / a poem by Andrea Gibson, and it says, "Let your heart break so your spirit doesn't." And I only just realized that I have known this or that my life has shown me this sentiment for much longer than I've had this tattoo. I feel like, and that might sound kind of conceited or delusional or, I don't know, self-centered or whatever. I don't know what words you want to use for that, but I do feel like my life would make for a good movie in a lot of ways. There's just so much to say. So about 7 years ago, almost 7 years ago, it's gonna be 7 years in like a month or two, I was broke up with my then partner of 7 years. We had been together since we were 16. And I guess for a very long time, the story that I was telling myself about that relationship, or how it kind of related to my life, was that getting together with him, falling in love with him, starting that relationship saved my life. And I hesitate to say that that's not true anymore, or like that's true. I don't know how I feel about that story, because honestly, I think it didn't. I think maybe it saved my life by kind of removing it from the picture. Like, you can't die if you're not really alive, right? You can't lose a life that you're not claiming, I think. I don't know, something about that. Like, because when I met my ex-boyfriend, I had literally just been discharged from a mental health facility, or I hadn't been discharged. I left because I was 16 and I was not in any acute danger to myself or other people, so I was able to leave. I signed some papers and I left. And I didn't want my life. I didn't want it. I don't know. It's been 14 years almost at this point, so almost half my life. So it's a very long time ago. But I remember telling the story of how I felt like I was half a person, if even, just almost like I don't know, a ghost or a shell of a person. And then I found him, or we found each other, and somehow that made sense, and I no longer had to live my life for myself, and I was given a reason, or I guess, yeah, I was given a reason and I took it. But you cannot live your life for someone else forever, because that will kill you. Or I don't even know if that's living your life then. I was kind of just almost like a leech, kind of attached to his life. But at the same time, I'm a I'm a big person, as in like I think big, I feel big, I have big ideas, I'm loud, I wanna be seen, I take up space as much as I have been trying not to, as much as I've been trying to make myself disappear for half of my life. I can't deny that that's who I am. Or I guess maybe I don't want to, or I've never really wanted to, but I felt like I didn't have a choice being in the world as an. Being a teenager is hard enough, period. Being an undiagnosed autistic ADHD teenager, that, I don't know, I feel like that's not actually what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the breakup. I wrote this poem when he and I broke up 7 years ago. I wrote it in German because we'd already kind of broken up and had kind of. So the thing was, I didn't want to break up, but at the time that we did break up 7 years ago, breaking up had been kind of in the picture for like half a year, because it was like March of 2018, I think. I don't know if it was like a year after or if it was the year of me realizing that I was non-binary / trans, and I just was so fed up with feeling miserable, with being so unhappy, with us just constantly fighting about this, like the silliest things. We lived together in a small apartment that I never wanted to move into because I knew it wasn't going to work. I knew that I needed more space if we were going to live together, and we had been living together at his parents' place before then. But because I was living in his life, I didn't really have that much agency. So everything was kind of happening on his terms. That sounds like he's an asshole. I don't think he's an asshole. I don't think he ever was. I think he's just a person. I think we were both young, and I think we were both sad and struggling and depressed and had our own shit. But he was definitely the one with significantly more power. He didn't use it against me, at least not like he wasn't manipulative. I was just not really in the position to stand up for myself for a really long time, because I was in a very dependent, I was very dependent on him and his parents and his entire, like, my life. As I said, like, I was a leech. I was just attached to his life. So, and I was under the impression, or like I believed that I was a burden. So yeah, anyway, there were many moments where where I just like kind of acquiesced, and at some point I had enough, and I didn't want, I had enough of feeling like my life wasn't my own. And I told him that I wanted to, that was in March 2018, and I told him that I wanted to move out, but I didn't want to break up with him. I just thought that we'd be happier and have a more fulfilling relationship if we didn't live together, at least for a while, and if we had kind of more space for each other, and we weren't constantly up in each other's business and having to deal with each other's moods and dysregulation or whatever. I don't really know how I phrased it back then, but he was very clear about the fact that for him, if I moved out, that would mean a breakup to him. Me moving out would mean he would no longer want to be with me. So I didn't move out, and then we stayed together for another half a year. heard each other properly a couple of times, just like it like got messier and messier until I almost moved to the countryside with him because to be closer to his work, but I would have left all of my friends, all of my like my entire life, but I didn't. And instead I planned to break up with him, or decided to break up with him. And I kind of the weeks leading up to that moment, I had been kind of talking to my friends, so that I kind of had somewhere to land. And then we actually broke up the very same day that we got together. And I already knew that or like basically I told him that I was going to move out, knowing that that would mean we'd break up. And yeah, and it was like my life stopped for a while, but it also became bigger. Like it just, I felt like in the months leading up to that devastating breakup, I had kind of started creating this new life for myself, with me having come out as non-binary. And also part of the reason why, or kind of what kind of started the conversation that where I revealed to him that I wanted to move out, what had to do with me becoming more and more political and feeling kind of like we were drifting apart. And I felt like he was holding me back, or that relationship was holding me back, and I needed more space for myself. And so I was starting to create this new life that I then just kind of was able to fall into. It was still horrible. I didn't know who I was without him, and it took many, many, many years for my identity to no longer be tied to who I was with him. It's like only, I think it was like the spring of 2022 was when we had a phone conversation that felt like something was kind of shifting. We had been in like no contact for a while anyway. But to get back to the idea of heartbreak saving my life, is that though that was one of the moments where I'm like, okay, basically I did a really hard thing, and I knew that it was gonna tear my heart out of my chest, and I was so scared. I was like, it probably like took me years really to get to the point where I felt like I'd survive it. I'd survive losing him. But yeah, I made that decision because like that something had to die in order for me to live. Like that leech existence, that half life, it had to die in order for me to live. And I remember so distinctly, one morning, like within the first couple of weeks after breaking up, I was at the checkout of a supermarket. And so I don't know if I mentioned that at the beginning of this video, but on top of having had or like an eating disorder for most of my young adult life, I was also drinking a lot. For many years, I drank about, I don't know, like I went through a couple of bottles of vodka a week. So I don't know, maybe like 2 to 3 liters of vodka a week, something like that. And so I was at the checkout of a supermarket, and I think I just had like a bottle of vodka and I don't know, maybe some soft drink. And I stood there and I saw like in the corner of my left eye, like there was some prepackaged cut up fruit. And I had this moment where I was like, damn, now that I've made this decision to take my own life into my own hands, shouldn't I also like try to actually take care of myself and like live my life. Yeah, try to take care of myself basically now that I'm, yeah. So I didn't put the vodka away, but I still bought the vodka, but I also got some fruit, which was only the start. I think a couple of days later, actually, I went to the supermarket for the first time, like, or it felt like I was food shopping for the first time in my life as an adult, because I I was like, I'm going to. So at the time, I was spending a lot of time at um, either like at one of two friends' places, going back and forth between my friend's place and my old apartment, to take care of my dog, whatever. But yeah, I was like, I'm going to beat this eating disorder. I'm going to eat. I'm going to take care of myself. And I went food shopping, and I remember I bought zucchini and I think spinach and couscous and feta, and like I remember it all so clearly. And I cooked that meal that night at my friend's place, and I talked to my friend about all of the feelings that I was having about not going to the bathroom, and like with like feeling the food inside of me, not and that was I mean, it still took a bunch of years after that for me to actually, but that was the beginning. That was the first time that I chose to do this for myself. I had situations before where I tried to recover, but it was more like, it was almost like a blackmail situation. Like basically it was like, either you recover or you're a horrible person, or you're, because people told me, yeah, anyway. I don't know if I knew that when I sat down to film this video that I didn't really know where I was going to go, and that there was no way, like, first of all, because I didn't have a clear idea, and also because the idea of this video encompasses so much more than I could possibly put into one YouTube video. So, but yeah, I guess that day I chose to live, and that is kind of a, or like I had to, something had to change. And just going through, yeah, like going through devastating heartbreak. So my eating disorder and my alcohol abuse, all of these things were there because I couldn't feel my feelings, because it was too much, because there was no space for me to process childhood trauma, like living in the world as the person that I am and everything. There was just no space for it. So that was how I stayed alive. That was how I coped. It was a very like it was medication with a lot of side effects. But yeah, I had so many moments where I was like, fuck, this is like this band-aid. It's just it's like the wound under the band-aid is getting infected and it's hurting, and it's not actually, like, nothing's changing. It just kind of numb. It's not even really it's not even doing the numbing thing anymore. So just and I think, and that's like, so I'm gonna put like a picture of my tattoo in here, because it is not only the quote of "let your heart break so your spirit doesn't," is come like I it's a stick and poke I did myself. It's kind of scrappy looking, but I love it. There's also a band-aid and some flowers underneath the band-aid. So yeah, so I feel like heartbreak, a lot of the time, it's just like it felt like ripping off the band-aid, or like, I don't know, it felt like the wound got too big for the band-aid to hold, so I had to rip it off, and then it just opened something and let air to the wound, and let, like, I don't know. And I think if I had gone through all of these experiences that felt like I was dying, like, I needed to go through those experiences that were a part, like, where something had to die in order for me to live, you know? I don't know. I feel like I'm trying to be poetic here, but I'm not really getting there. And that's okay. So yeah, I don't really know. I feel like I barely scratched the surface of what I wanted to talk about. My entire life, or for a very long time, I thought that my pain was kind of like that I like that kind of my pain had to mean something, that it, like, I don't know. I felt like for all the pain that I've gone through and that I've caused other people, or all of I that it had to mean something, that I had to that it had to help other people, and it did. But like, I don't know, I think I worked so hard to not to become someone who's more than a wound, you know? Um, and and now that I feel like I am I am no longer just a wound, but I am a full fledged human being, the entire world feels like a wound. And that's a lot that's like, it's a lot harder to to deal with that. Like, if I'm the wound, if the wound is as big as me, then I stand a chance at taking care of it, of healing it. But now that I feel like more than a wound, now that I feel like a whole person, everything else feels like a wound. And it is, or like, I see wounds everywhere, and I can't, and they're out of my control, and that's heartbreaking. And I don't know where to put that heartbreak, especially now that, like, in so many ways the world looks at me and sees someone who has their life together, or who's doing fine. So I should be able to hold down a job. I should be able, like, why am I still not able to function the way that I'm expected to? Which, and like, and I don't expect myself to fit, to just function, because what does functioning mean in this context? It means upholding the system, a system of white supremacy, of violence, of rugged individualism, of just death and destruction and exploitation and fragmentation and disconnection. And I don't, functioning would mean functioning inside of a wound, or as a wound, or I don't know. And I can't, I've come too far, and I can't, and it's just, I guess I'm adjusting to that new reality that I no longer see myself as the wound, or like an unexplicable pain or wound that I'm inflicting on myself, but I now see the world as a wound. And that's, I don't know, it's just or I don't know, or I feel like it doesn't the math is not mathing, the world is not worlding, the life isn't, I don't know, it's just, there's just so much pain. And I need, like, I'm like, I didn't go through all of that, I didn't heal from all of that, I didn't put myself through all of that heartbreak for now to just be heartbroken at the world every single day, and not being able to change anything. So what am I doing now? What do I do now? If I can't, if I can no longer fix it, what's my place now? If I'm no longer, if I can, if I'm done fixing myself, that doesn't mean I'm fully healed, but it means that I understand that the point is not to fix myself. The point is quite the opposite. It's to allow myself to be all of me, including the wounded parts. That's how we heal, by allowing everything to be there, everything there is, everything I am that I don't want to be, and that the world is telling me I can't be. I that I don't know. So Who am I? Who am I now if I'm no longer the one who fixes things? Because I can't fix this. What do I do now? Now I have to live my life? Now I have to ask myself what I want? Now I have to actually go after what I want and not and like think bigger, and because I no longer have all of these reasons that are keeping me small. How do I be a person now if I'm no longer here to fix things? My battery is dying, which is perfect because I don't want to continue talking because I don't have an answer right now. But I know that filming this and talking about this is bringing me closer to knowing where I need to go. And I know part of where I need to go is kind of orienting towards my inner child and what they want. But that feels so fucking scary. That is so scary. Actually being like, you know what? The best thing I can do for this world is to do what's the best thing for me, or to no longer make myself small, to no longer see myself as someone who only gets to exist if they're trying to fix things that are broken, and instead trying to create things and create myself from joy and no longer orienting away from pain, but orienting towards joy. That is a paradigm shift that is just messing up my entire thing. Especially now that I finally finished my social work degree and I'm a certified fixer-upper. No, not a fixer-upper, but like certified helper, which is not really something that I actually want to be, but I used to think that that was who I needed to be. I didn't think I could be that someone because I was still in too much pain myself. And I was just, I don't even know. As I said, my phone is dying. My battery is dying. We need to let things die. I need to let this old idea of who I am and what I can be in this life die so that I can live. So that the parts of me that have been pushed down can live. And I don't know how to do that, but what else can I do but try? All I can do is try and do things that bring me joy, and instead of trying to make myself small, I want to become bigger. I want to take up more space in a way, because I now know that there are ways of taking up space that don't take away space from other people, but that actually expand and make more space for everyone. So yeah, I don't know where that's going to lead me. I think this is an important part of it, like this whole YouTube thing, but I also don't know how much it is part of it. But I think I'm starting to see the importance of taking my dreams seriously, no matter, like, even if I don't know whether they're achievable, but I still need to hear them. I still need to take them seriously. And then I can grieve them. But as long as I don't acknowledge my dreams and my wants and my desires, I'm also not able to acknowledge when they don't happen. And I'm not able to grieve them. I need to be open to get my heart broken again and again and again. Because otherwise, what am I doing here? What are we actually doing? Okay, that's it for me today. I'm sending you so much love, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.